YouTube, what is going on? Coach William Grazione here, owner of Metabolic Evolution. This is the ladies edition. We are doing 4 tips to help you ladies completely reshape your physiques. Like I mentioned, my name is William Grazione. My Instagram handle is William_Grazione, and I actually just made a post on this exact topic. So if you guys are on Instagram, go ahead and check us out over there. This post is going to be just for the ladies. We're going to talk about 4 of the key main focuses that you should have anytime you're trying to completely reshape your body. The first one is going to be to lose weight at a nice, consistent, slow pace. Now, I know that may not be what you want to hear. However, what you have to understand is that if you are trying to strive to maintain your shape, let's say, for instance, you've worked really hard to build nice sculpted shoulders, nice sculpted arms, nice glutes, so on and so forth. If you drastically diet, what's going to happen is that your resting metabolic rate is going to drastically decrease much faster than if you were to utilize some form of carbohydrate cycling. The second thing that'll happen is that as a side effect of you not utilizing some form of carbohydrate cycling, your performance is going to go down in the gym. Now, when your performance and your strength go down in the gym, this is going to lead you down a gnarly rabbit hole of you actually losing muscle mass. Now, the longer you're in a caloric deficit, typically the more catabolic you will become. So the longer you're in this calorie deficit, the more cardio you're doing, the more catabolic you're going to become, and ultimately leading you to a place where you're going to lose the majority, I wouldn't say the majority of your muscle, but you will lose much more muscle mass dieting in a very fast fashion versus utilizing some form of modality of carbohydrate cycling. Now, as a general recommendation, I would recommend anywhere from maybe 0.7 to 1% of your total body weight per week. So as an example, if you're a 150-pound female, I would say anything from maybe 1 pound to 1.5 pounds per week would be a phenomenal starting place for you. And the second thing is going to be making sure that you are resistance training. You see, dieting in and of itself, anytime you're placing yourself in a caloric deficit, anything under your energy balance at the time, it will result in a catabolic environment, meaning it's a very muscle wasting environment. So ideally, we want to keep ourselves as anabolic as possible. Now, the actual training stimulus of you lifting heavy loads and challenging your muscles and getting in the gym and activating those muscles that you want to preserve, that's going to ensure that you can keep that anabolic stimulus when you are in a state of being catabolic. You're keeping that anabolic stimulus so you can keep the muscle that you've worked so hard for. And in most cases, I would recommend a minimum of probably 3 days per week of a total body training routine where you're training the muscle groups that you want to keep, that are going to allow you to keep that shape. So as an example, it would probably be your deltoids, possibly the upper chest, depending on if you like that or not, your lat muscles, your glutes, hamstrings, and quads. Now, in most cases, that's going to be enough to keep the stimulus there so you can preserve the tissue integrity of your deltoids, of your back, of your glutes, your hamstrings, and your quadriceps. Now, at a more advanced level than that, I would say a typical bodybuilding routine would be a good idea where you're utilizing undulating repetition patterns, utilizing anything from maybe 5 to 8 reps on your strength-focused days, and then utilizing anything from 20 to 30 reps on your more metabolic days. Now, keep in mind, 3 to 5 days of resistance training is typically enough to make sure that this stimulus is still there so you can preserve that tissue. Again, if you are more of a beginner, intermediate, total body routines can work out perfectly. However, if you are more of an advanced, I would say training everything twice per week, maybe within a 5-day split, making sure that you do have recovery periods implemented within that training system would be ideal to preserve the muscle mass that you've worked so hard for. Number 3 is going to be keep your protein intake high. Now, when I say high, keep in mind that high is relative to you and your body size. Now, in most cases, when we're talking about recommendations for protein, we're either going to use body weight or lean body mass. I have a tendency to go more for lean body mass because I think that it correlates better to working with a wide demographic of clientele. So as an example, if you are somebody who may carry more weight, we're going to utilize lean body mass so that we can figure out how much lean body mass is there and then utilize that number to dictate your protein intake. But here's the thing, is that if you are trying to focus on improving your body composition, once you have taken yourself from being in a maintenance period or being at energy balance, where you're focusing on trying to build gains, you're trying to focus on building muscle, you're trying to improve your shapes, what's going to happen is that once you drop those calories and you put yourself into a calorie deficit, all right, you're actually going to reduce the muscle protein synthetic response by anywhere from 10 to 20%. Okay, so keep that in mind. If we are reducing the muscle protein synthetic response because of the caloric deficit, we're in a catabolic environment. It would be an ideal scenario for you to actually increase protein intake at the same time you are creating the calorie deficit. Now, this is something that I've experimented with in the past, specifically when we have athletes that are going into competition preparation, or we have clients that are just wanting to improve their body composition. So we have females that are just wanting to get leaner. At the same time, we actually increase protein intake when people are coming out of competition, and then we're trying to get them more in a anabolic environment, which is in most cases another time where we utilize carbohydrate cycling or diet breaks to help get them recovered as fast as possible. So tip number 3 is going to be keep protein high. As a general recommendation, about 1 gram to 1.2 grams of protein per pound of lean body mass can be an absolutely fantastic range. Something to consider though is that as somebody's dieting down, like I said previously, they're becoming more and more catabolic the longer they diet down. So it may be a good idea to slowly over time actually increase protein intake. So if you are a 125 pound lean body mass woman and we were to start you off at maybe 125 grams of protein, you could over the course of time as you diet and as you lose weight, maybe bump that to 130, 135, 140, 145, and maybe end your fat loss phase around 150 grams of protein per day. And the last thing, number 4, the last but definitely not least, is going to be utilizing some form of modality of intermittent calorie cycling, whether that be high carbohydrate days, whether that be multiple day refeeds, 48-hour back-to-back, 72-hour back-to-back, or utilizing diet breaks, or utilizing 2 high carb days spaced apart. Any form of that will help you break up the monotony of chronic low-calorie dieting. It will also help you preserve your performance. It will help you preserve your muscle mass. It will help you preserve your metabolic rate. And specifically for females, utilizing diet breaks intermittently will actually help you preserve your follicle-stimulating hormone and your luteinizing hormone during the caloric deficit so that you can preserve your cycle for a longer period of time. Other hormones to think about when we're talking about creating the ideal environment for female reshaping is going to be making sure leptin levels can stay as elevated as possible and making sure that your thyroid can stay elevated for as long as possible, as obviously your thyroid drastically dictates your metabolic rate, and then obviously metabolic rate will dictate how much energy you have and how much energy you can put into training so that you can preserve your shape. So my name is William Grazione, owner of Metabolic Evolution, and those are our 4 best tips to female reshaping. If you guys have any questions for us, go ahead and leave us a comment down below. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're not currently following us on Instagram, it is Metabolic Evolution. And again, my name is William. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.